let's bring in Nightmare KRISTY.
Hey,
Hey, what's happening, KRISTY?
not much. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm so happy you're able to get everything to work. When I didn't see you jump up in the studio, I was like, man, maybe she needs a little assistance here.
Sorry. I'm
It's
always
quite all
having
right.
difficulty.
You know, this is what live is all about, right? You just make it through the bumps and the bruises and you find a way to make it work. I'm sure you know all about that, being an independent business owner, that like you just got to roll with the punches. When stuff doesn't go as planned, you find a way to put it all together and make it happen. So really appreciate you sticking with us and finding your way to the studio here.
Yeah,
Thank
sure.
you so much.
Thank you.
So KRISTY, you just got back from Texas Frightmare, right? I saw your stream earlier today.
Yes.
You had a whole bunch of really fun stuff to show off there, and Nightmare Toys was out there. You guys were out there as a vendor, is that right?
Yes. We've been vending Texas Frightmare for the past few years now, but I have been going since about 2018. So the first 2 years I just kind of went, and then after that we started vending.
Nice. And so I was reading up on you a little bit. I saw that, Elvira kind of made you want to get involved in horror, be like an icon of horror, especially like for women. And I saw you're really into Barbara Crampton, which, oh my gosh, that's like my
Right.
biggest crush. I was a mess when I met her this last December.
Yeah,
An
I
absolute wreck.
Yeah. She's so gorgeous.
But was there like a certain moment when you were a kid that, like, what was the movie or the horror experience that you had as a kid where you're like, not only do I kind of like this, but I think that this is something that's like speaking to me in a really special way?
Yeah. I tell everybody it is the Michael Jackson's Thriller video that got me started. That was the one thing that, I guess the first thing that I watched that was like kind of, scary. And I liked the whole scary thing. But I was excited and scared all at the same time. And I was like, ooh, I want to know more about that. The Making of Thriller came out. I got all into that. I watched it religiously. And then I think like really the first horror movie that I watched, I mean, it could have been other ones, I'm not sure, but in memory, Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2.
All right.
So that got me into Freddy, and then I watched 1, and then of course 3 became my favorite, and I really got into Freddy when I was a kid. And so yeah, Michael Jackson, Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, sometimes it takes like something a little, on the safer side, right? It's like, I think there's kind of that introduction to horror. I mean, for me, Jaws, when I saw Jaws as a kid, I was like, I love this movie. And that was probably like me dipping the toe into that and that whole realm. So yeah, I can totally understand that. And, so as, owning the shop, owning Nightmare Toys, I actually wanted to show off really quick here, if you don't mind. I was going to show off your website as we chit chat here. Let me see if I can navigate all this. This is the fun of the live show. So I just wanted to show you guys the website, because people can order from all over the country and patronize the store here. So yeah, guys, if you've not checked out Nightmare Toys, please check out the website. It's very simple. nightmaretoys.com. You can get all sorts of really great gear here. You see the Scream gear, the good guys for Chucky. Chucky's getting a second appearance here on Late Night with the Davey. And one of my favorite things to see in a shop is stuff like this, like a whole wall full of NECA action figures. I know you guys have the masks. I want to jump into the masks because that's like one of my favorite things to collect. I have like 6 Michael Myers masks. So yeah, folks, if you are looking for really great gear, either you want to dress up for Halloween or you're just the kind of person that likes to cosplay for the heck of it, please check out nightmaretoys.com. Now you're just a little bit up the road from me in Las Vegas. I'm down in the Phoenix area, and it's so crazy. I've been living here in this area for, about 4 or 5 years. Oh, there you are. And for whatever reason, I've not made it to Vegas in the whole entire time I've lived here. It's super embarrassing.
Oh, wow,
But
you're gonna make the drive.
but my wife knows that it's like my dream to go up there and just bask in Nightmare Toys and just be in awe. I'd be like walking around looking at everything like, ah. Now, what made you want to just say, you know what, I'm gonna open up this shop. I'm gonna, because obviously it's gone from more than just being a store owner, right? I mean, I would say you're an icon within the community. You do
Oh,
like
thank
pinup modeling. You've been appearing in fan films and like independent films and all that kind of stuff. So you've
you.
kind of, crossed through a little bit of a window into a different part of that horror community. Is that something you always wanted to do? And how do you feel about that? How do you feel about having people reach out to you and being like, oh my God, I love you?
I love that. Like I love all, my friends and followers and everybody. And I love getting messages in the comments and all that. I know some people may not like messages and things. I love all that. I love my fans. I know it's still a little odd to me, to be honest with you. When I started Nightmare Toys, it was literally just to give me something to do. I was quitting another
Oh,
job, and my partner Philip, and he owns other businesses, so he's like the business guy with it, and I'm the horror fan.
gotcha.
And he was like, "Well, you're not just gonna like sit around, so you need to do something. So let's just open your little store so you have a little something to do." And I mean, that's how the conversation kind of went. And I'm just like, okay, why not? And we did not think it would get to this point. Like we didn't think we would
Yeah.
go from Alabama to Las Vegas, grow into a bigger store. Then we had added on the Nightmare Cafe there for about a year and a half, which we recently just closed. So we had the bar restaurant to go along with it for a little while. And we do signings at the store. So I didn't think that all that was going to happen. And it did. And I'm so grateful for it. And I'm a big collector too. And the one thing with me owning the store is I do have my business sense, but I'm also a fan and a collector just like everybody else. So
Yeah.
I get it. I understand. So
Yeah, so you're able to relate with your fan or your customers in such a different kind
yeah.
of way too, because you're like really in it to win it.
I mean, especially like, with the collectibles and shipping and stuff, with me being a collector, I'm like, okay, we have to bubble wrap it like this, and we have to do
Mhm.
this, and da 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 da. And everybody's like, no, we have to do this, and this is how it's gonna happen. This is how it's gonna be, with
Yeah.
masks. I will tell you about masks. There were some other companies, and when I started, they were all putting their masks in bags. I noticed that everybody did not like that.
Yeah.
Nobody likes bags. And so I'm the one that started putting masks in boxes, which
Yeah.
irritated a
Yeah,
few,
'cause
few people. But
well, you
I
don't
love
want it to.
it.
Yeah, it's if you put it in a bag, it's like it could get squished. I mean, I know
You
from
never know.
owning those Michael Myers masks, it's like once something gets bent one way, it's kind of like a hat. Like the last thing you want is for the bill to get all tweaked or whatever. And
Yep.
yeah, no, I mean that's you have to have that
I know.
extra level of care is what separates you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you guys have like a really fun crew. I don't know if anyone in the chat follows Nightmare Toys on on Instagram and all that, but you absolutely should. You guys have a lot of personality there with your employees, and then you guys have like dancers dress up in all sorts of different cosplay and do pretty much like little commercials.
Yeah.
Now, is that something like the people that work in your shop, did you have to seek these people out? Did they naturally find you because they're just so into horror? And how difficult was it to find a bunch of people that had that kind of personality and that kind of love for the product?
It really is not that hard. So my manager, Brian, I met him at Texas Frightmare 2018,
Mm.
his wife, and now he works for me. I moved him from Ohio to Las Vegas. So
Oh, wow.
what can happen?
Yeah.
So he's now my manager, and of course, all of my employees have been horror fans. I always have to ask everybody, "What is your favorite scary movie?" I have to know. Because I like to see what people's answers are.
Sure. Yeah.
And then the girls, They were, when we had our Nightmare Cafe, we had done shows on the weekend. We did brunch shows, and we did like kind of an adult show on Friday night in a way, because it was a lot of gore and stuff that was involved with it, and it was like a freak show type thing. So the
Okay.
girls that we have were part of that show, and so we
Nice.
just hired them to do our social media for Nightmare Toys and for the cafe at that time. So we're doing our social media for us as well. So they're part of the show. They're doing our social media. So that's how we found them. So they're fantastic. They already knew how to dance and be outgoing and do all that fun stuff, and know how to do, the videos and TikTok and all that stuff. So yeah, so we hired them to do our social media.
Yeah, and it's really engaging too, because they're always there's like usually a trivia question involved there or something. Like I see a lot of that. So now I do have to ask you though, because you ask your, potential employees what their favorite scary movie is. Do you have any that are like, are there any red flag horror movies that somebody would say and you'd be like, oh, I don't know about this one?
You don't want me to answer that.
Why? Are you going to say The Evil Dead?
No.
Okay.
Halloween.
Halloween. Oh, well, yeah, because that's such an easy answer, right? It's almost like, do you even
everybody's answer? It's like everybody's answer. I want like something obscure. I had an employee who does not work for me anymore, but he told me his favorite movie was like Slumber Party Massacre, and I was like, oh, okay, cool, yeah. I like
fun. Yeah,
mine is April Fool's.
I need to see that one. I've yet to see April Fool's Day. Now, is that the one that's not the one that has Biff from Back to the Future? Is that right? That is it. Okay. So I've got to see that, because I've seen a few reviews of it, and I still don't even know if my head's wrapped around like how it all kind of culminates in the end. So I've really got to see it myself. When people ask like, what's your favorite? It's like, it's so tough not to say. Like for me, I'm at the point where I'm like, well, I think Halloween is like the best film out of all these slashers, but I would probably say something like The Evil Dead or like The Changeling or something like that. That's just a little more like something that kind of like got me on a different level, because I've been watching Halloween since I was like 10 years old. So it's sort of like old hat for me. However, I do really love it.
I like evil. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, no, I totally hear you. And like for me, it was like The Evil Dead was one of those movies where it was like everything changed when I watched The Evil Dead. I started looking at the way that movies were made in a totally different way. It just kind of opened up my eyes to like, wow, horror doesn't just have to be like slashers and like haunted house movies. Like this whole demonic possession thing was just, it was like punk rock. Like the first time that I heard or saw Evil Dead was like the first time I ever listened to NoFX. It just like kind of blew my socks off. I had no idea that whole world existed. And it's just changed my life. What can I say? Oh yeah, I love all, and I like how like dirty and gritty it looks, and that it doesn't look like super slick. I don't know what it is. It's like listening to a garage band. You just kind of like, that's part of the charm, and it's part of the charm about horror too, is just sort of like, having fun with it all. When Anthony and I were just talking, I was saying that horror is like a roller coaster. I think the people that don't like horror, that's like one thing that I always try to say to them. It's like, well, it's not like I don't like real violence. I hate real violence. The fantasy of the horror is like the fun part, because it's safe. Like no one's getting hurt. So to a lot of people, I don't know if they can really understand that distinction. They're like, ooh, you like horror? And I'm like,
some people don't get it. My mom didn't get it. She said I was morbid.
and my parents were like the opposite. Like the first time I saw Halloween 2 on TV at like 9 years old, I was like, I want to dress up as that for Halloween. And my parents were like, all right. And took me to the store and got, there was no mask at that point in human history. So it was just paint your face white and wear black sweatpants and a black sweatshirt. And now you're Michael Myers. It was that simple.
I love it.
So let's see here. I've got a chat from Jamie Hart, says April Fool's Day is so good. I love Amy Steele. Man, Amy Steele is awesome.
She's awesome.
I met her last October. She was so sweet and gave me a hug. And yeah, Jamie Hart has seen every horror movie in the theater. That's the running joke here. That's why she added that. I feel like every time we bring up a movie here on the channel, Jamie's like, yeah, I saw that in the theater on a really bad date when I was in high school. So I wanted to ask you a couple quick, like this or that kind of would you rather ish sort of questions. As sort of our our closeout here before we move on to our musical guest. So my first this or that is, or maybe this is a would you rather. Would you rather play hide and go seek with Jason Voorhees or play Operation with Art the Clown?
Ooh, that's good. Ooh, I want to say hide and go seek. I love hide and go seek. That'd be fun.
Perfect.
That'd be fun in the woods and
in the woods, maybe, you know, dunk yourself in Crystal Lake and hope he doesn't find you.
I like that, yeah.
Now, how about your choice between two malls, Dawn of the Dead or Chopping Mall? Which mall are you picking to spend the weekend in?
If anybody knows me, they know I'm saying Chopping Mall.
That's what I figured. Yeah, I figured you'd say that one. And then let's see here. Which remake do you think is the better remake? So this is a this or that. Dawn of the Dead 04 or Friday the 13th 09?
That's good.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one.
That is very tough. Dawn of the Dead.
Dawn of the Dead. Okay. And I'm one of those people. I really like that Friday the 13th remake. I know a lot of people are, you know, people poo-poo on the characters, and I'm like, have you seen the other movies? Like there's like a few good characters, like decent people in these movies. Everyone else is just, you know. And let's see. I thought I had another one right on the tip of my tongue. Oh, is there so this is totally off topic of would you rather or this or that. Is there a remake, a horror remake that you think outdoes the original, and which one is it?
The Crazies. The Crazies. I love the remake of the Crazies, but I feel like the original is really boring. Like it's so boring to me.
It is. It's
more of the military in the original
than
in the remake. I don't know. There's just a lot more going on in the remake.
Yeah, the remake feels a little bit more like a zombie movie, you know, like it has a little bit more of that 28 Days Later kind of vibe. Yeah, I agree that I enjoy, like, Romero's just one of my favorites, so I've got a soft spot for him. But I do think his Crazies is a bit more like procedural. It's very like, this is what's wrong with politics. Like, this is exactly what people in Washington would do to us. So it's that really dark side of Romero just not trusting the man at all. That's a good answer. The Crazies. I need to revisit that one because, you know, Timothy Oliphant's just so hot.
I agree.
Isn't it funny that, like, you know, my wife and I, we just covered Scream 2. We have a show called Movie Date with Davey and Kate where we like discuss a film that we're both really familiar with. And I kind of got her into horror, but she loves all the Scream movies. And it's so funny that in Scream 2, Timothy Oliphant was not really hot stuff at a young age, you know? And he's even sort of like, there's something about like, here we go 20 years later, and now he's like sexiest man alive. Like, what is it about men that makes them just not attractive until they're in their 40s, Kristy?
I don't know, but there are a lot of men that just as they get older, they get even better looking. I don't know.
Is it the hair? Like when they start getting the gray in there and then it makes their eyes pop. I
like a little salt and pepper look.
Yeah, it's a classy look. And then also, you know, maybe there's something to say for maybe most women, of course, not every woman, but maybe some women or most of them are into somebody that looks like they could actually take care of you. Maybe that's a little bit of it too.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for hopping on here with us. I really appreciate you pushing through the technical difficulties. Of course, I was like, oh no, we can't lose out on having Kristy. We got to have her on the show. So thank you so much for your time today. I'm going to make sure that we get up to Vegas here, maybe when the weather cools down a little bit, because we're already in the heat here.
Yeah.
As I'm sure, I don't know, how hot is it there in Vegas right now?
Yeah, it was like 96 today.
Yeah.
So.
And Vegas gets that interesting sort of like you can taste the heat and the cigarette smoke everywhere when you step outside. You know what I'm talking about? Or are you totally used to that at this point?
I think I'm used to it now, but I do know what you're talking about. I get that.
Like you hop outside of the airport and you're like, oh, it tastes like the inside of a casino.
Yeah, well, there's almost a casino in the airport, pretty much.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's a really fun town, and I do want to get there. My wife isn't too pumped on Vegas, but I'm the kind of guy where I'm like 36 to 48 hours. It's a really fun spot to go. You know,
You don't have to go to casinos. There's so much to do.
yeah. Yeah, we went and actually we were working on the Wizard World Comic Con like right after we first met. And we went and saw the Evil Dead musical out there. It was a total blast. They dumped a bucket of blood all over me. It was amazing. I was like a pig in shit. It was a very proud moment. But yeah, we definitely got to get up there and check out your shop and hang out and bug you for a little bit. And guys, please check out nightmaretoys.com. The links are in the description below. And of course, you can follow. I've got KRISTY's link tree in there as well. So you can follow her on her socials. And, for you 18 plus folks out there, KRISTY's got OnlyFans as well. So if you're into that kind of thing, that is an option. A very, very sweet, pretty, lovely looking horror gal that could use all the support in every sort of way. One thing we always talk about on the channel here, KRISTY, is lifting each other up in the community and, being there for not only fellow creators and creative people, but also being there for the audience as well. And just everybody, having that communal kind of feel. So really appreciate you spending some time here with us and letting these folks get to know you a bit.
Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate that.
Absolutely. Well, have a great rest of your night, and we'll have to connect again somewhere down the line.
Yes. Bye. Have a spooky evening, y'all.
Thank you. Take care.